Be advised, the suspect is armed and considered extremely dangerous.
Welcome to the Safety Doc Podcast with author, radio host, and nationally recognized safety expert, Dr. David Perodin. Join us each week as we discuss the best and most bizarre practices in safety preparation and crisis response. Follow Dr. Perodin on Twitter at SafetyPhD. And remember, the truth will keep you safe.
Whoa, I almost started that show without my microphone. So that would have been a wild one. I'm like, whoa, okay, here we go. Let's get the mic running. So good. It was Captain Insano there. What in the world was I doing? So, well, thank you for everybody who made the hop over here from the premiere, which was my safety show, so I greatly appreciate that. I thought that went really well, and I need to just change my screen here a little bit. So, but should no, I don't want to do that. There we go. All right, that looks good. I thought that went really well, and what I was trying to accomplish was also to create a kind of a legacy video, right, that I could direct people back to and say, here's, because if you're explaining school safety exercises to people and they haven't been through that part of constructs, or like, what are the things that we should actually plan for and then measure? I'm like, there's a point where you just have to say, go to this video and it'll lay it all out for you. And I teach that in my university classes. I've never made that public before that video, but it probably is very worthwhile to put into either a book or into a guide. I'll have to think about it. But Jim had a really good idea of maybe putting that together. So, yeah. But for now, I wanted to get it out there. And that end where we did the sticky note activity. So I have the aspiring superintendents, and I'll say, do this at your next staff meeting, and then have your principals do this, right, and then take pictures of it and bring them to class, so we can share, and I said, then show to your board meeting all the sticky notes around the AED, right, and that becomes tangible then, right? It really is powerful. And one of the new soups said, we put sticky notes on the outside of every board member's packet. And we said, we've got a purpose for these. And during the first break of the board meeting, the board members were directed to put the sticky notes on the AED closest to the boardroom, which was cool. So then they got to do it, right? So those are the type of things, right? What does it cost to do that? Virtually nothing. And you then can say, we're inventorying our assets for AEDs, fire extinguishers. There's a whole other thing with fire extinguishers, right? Like, who uses it and how does that all work? And you have to be trained, and you always have to have your back to an exit. And the fire's in front of you, but that's nobody does this. Nobody does. People that I teach do this, and I've been teaching for 19 years. So there are hundreds of school leaders across the Midwest who have taken classes from me that this is getting out there. But, this is powerful stuff. And it always amazes me when, and people love this too. They're like, I can do this. And boom, they're already thinking ahead the impact this will have on, school board, meeting, and the Board of Education is going to, appreciate this. And I'm like, yeah, take pictures and put it in your state safety report, incorporate it right into your report. But anyway, we're kind of in this cool age too, where we can do that with a digital camera, right? 30 years ago, to actually take a picture, right? And then you'd have to print it and scan it, it'd be his whole production, right? But I mean, today it's just super easy to take these things to the next level. So let's do a shout out to who came over for this one. So let me go back to the start here. Vanessa, thank you so much. And Vanessa, with your teacher expertise, watching that video and giving high marks, I appreciate that. Again, that is free. I mean, outside of having to watch a few ads, I guess, but I wasn't ever holding that back because I thought I would monetize it. That was never like a reason, because I've done stuff on PBS and but I never kind of had it together enough where I thought now's the time to put it out. And that was this year, because during COVID, right, when schools were like not really in session, and so the school safety stuff, it didn't make sense to kind of do like that whole exercise thing. I mean, when school's not in session, I mean, you're not going to do that, or if you're in one day a week. But anyway, like I thought that was really, really good. I put a lot of time into that premiere. I bet I put 10 hours into putting that together. So anyway, share it out if you have a teacher friend, if you, with school administrators. And again, I would love to see. I shared at the start, we had the email from our district, and thankfully it was kind of a concise email saying there was going to be a drill, but then we didn't have anything of saying like, here's 3 things we're going to measure, the radios, the if students know where to go, and then how effective responders can be, or our messaging system out for parents. So we're going to send you a message like after the drill or whatever it is, like they have or our 4K sites, making sure put it together. Here's your 3 and then afterwards send out an email, which didn't happen. And not criticizing our district, because I don't think anybody has this down, and think our district is doing this, but send out an email afterwards of saying, hey, here's what we did. We did the drill at this time. Here's the 7 areas we measured, right? You don't have to get into detail now. Just say like, our communications, where we're going to put things, responders when they arrived, and our systems, like our 2-way radios and stuff like that. You put some of that down and people are like, oh, okay, I got it, and then, so here's a few things we're going to do. We're going to check the PA system in a couple parts of the buildings. We've got a few door locks that, are a little bit finicky that we need to get on. And we're going to practice our 2-way radio stuff and make it universal, that we put, these sticky cards on the back of every 2-way radio. And you do that and you take a picture, then you take a few pictures of the activity and you send that back out to parents, and you send it to staff within 72 hours. You get it to the participants, the community fire department and police. They'll put it up on their website. You're a hero. You're a legend if you've done that. Nobody does this. And that's the thing that is so weird, because when I share this out with my aspiring, superintendents and principals and all of that, they're like, holy smokes, it's like I split the atom. And, and it's crazy, right? Like, so why don't we have this when we have these school safety bills passed and schoolsafety.gov and all of this stuff? Why don't we have this template? Like that video, like why isn't there a form, a 2-page form that then it's already got to have the template headings in there? So you're just like putting, 2-3 sentences down for each. And then, a couple sample 4-page board reports in that presentation. And then that's it. And 4 pages on like an exercise is a pretty thin report. It's pretty concise, right? And, that you have 5 quotes, a quote from a student, from an adult, from a parent, from a Board of Education member, and from a responder. Those quotes, those qualitative side, always missing. So, but I think it's awesome. And, but it is, how do you present this, right? So I work in my safety community and I share this out with the people in that circle and say, go and use this. Like when you're presenting, go use this. So, so anyway, Solitude Surfer, thank you, John, Vanessa, guard our privacy, but they sell our data. Yeah, Vanessa, I was watching Dan and iAllegedly, and he was talking about how like some of the tax software programs and places sell all your data to these companies like, Facebook and stuff like that. But Like, holy smokes, needs to be a pocket. Yeah, Corey, you're right. No, Corey, you're right on. And I think I think I could do that. And I don't know like who I would work with. So I would need to like that would be something I would sell on my own, right? That I would do through Amazon, right? Um, but the thing is, it's really intended for school leaders. So it makes a lot of sense to parents. But if parents get it right, it's not going to move the dial unless they like kind of bring it up to the school board or their principals and say like, do this. And actually, if I was a principal, I was getting that, I'd be like, whoa, like this stuff makes sense. So you're right on. I need to figure out how to do that, or if I partner up with some organization to get that out. Although I would kind of like to do that on my own, but I would I would need somebody to do the like formatting and do all of that stuff because I'm consulting again. Yeah, doc. So I shared it in previous shows, but I have started the consulting again today. I actually did like 5 hours, and so it's getting back into full swing, which means I'm not going to have time to do that type of stuff. Although I wrote the velocity of information when I was doing a lot of consulting on a regular basis, so my week was packed with it. And then I wrote School of Airs when I was working full time at the School for the Blind. So, but anyway, like I definitely would want somebody who knows kind of how to put something like that together and then get them the information and say, like, format this specifically in a way. Corey, I guess what you're thinking, right? Format this in a way that is super easy for whoever's the parent or the administrator. Like, I want it to be broad, especially students with parents of students with disabilities who sometimes, those kids are exempted from drills. And I actually want like samples in it, like, put some samples of here are 3 sample reports. Here's a sample PowerPoint to the board of presentation. Like, put that right in there. And that's what I think would make it super valuable. But I've got to think that out because I don't know where to interface. Like a traditional book publisher, that's not the way to go because, like, where's the market for that, right? But there's a big market because schools don't. I mean, I was asked by a school district to come in and to do this with their district, and I've, to be honest, like I haven't put the proposal together yet. I've been kind of roughing it out because I think it would take like 2 full days in district to kind of like run the exercise and then like do a presentation, and then I need to be over there for a board meeting to talk about what went on, which is all great. Like, but yeah, index bucket card Vanessa. So I needed to. So I was checking out my computer, by the way, Corey. So as you guys know, the hard drive with all the Safety Doc podcasts died. So I've been downloading the podcasts, and I've got half of them recovered. I have about 90 out of 180. So I'm slowly downloading the finished ones, and so it'll get there. But I was talking to the tech guy, and so we greatly updated the computer system here. But he said, if you want to take the next step, you should replace your processor. Consider it, because the processor is 5 years old. But then he contacted me today and said, we have to replace the processor and the motherboard for it to really make sense. So you could like throw in from go to 64 gig of RAM to like 128. So and I'm like, I'm not against it because like all the components, the computers are now just built as a big metal box. So like, I don't want to get rid of my SD card readers and CD and all that. All that stuff is good. Graphics card is really robust, but yeah, it wouldn't be bad to do a CPU update. So I got to think about it. It's a good guy. Yeah, no, Corey, you're right on. So we should partner on that, buddy. So let me do one more thing here. That's where I wish I had the 4th monitor, because I would just leave this stuff up. We had a leak in our tub faucet last week. Well, up until yesterday when the plumber came to fix it, and it was pretty pretty steady stream of water coming out. And there's not much you can do with that because there aren't shutoffs on those lines. There's only a shutoff in the house. So, the plumber then also changed out the shower head because it corroded quite a bit. I mean, we had the whole bathroom gutted and rebuilt 6 years ago. So it looks great, but for some reason, the valve failed. Anyway, he put a new valve in, things are good, but he put a new shower head in. And then like everyone in the house recognizes the water comes out at a different pattern. It's not quite as like that heavy pattern. It's more like a mist type thing. And they're not real thrilled about that. But I'm like, well, you get used to it. It's not that big of a deal. I mean, so we drained the hot water heater too. And holy, just to get the sludge out of it. Holy smokes, man. That was a slurry of crazy stuff. Only 3 years old. And I'm glad we did that. So, but let me get caught up here. So shout outs. Core is Jordan from SK, South Korea, or is it Saskatchewan? So the man, the myth. Look at this here, Corey. You know what they say about that, Corey? This is what they say right here. So let's go back. So my it's weird because I'm wondering if I'm going to get payout from Google before the end of the year, because I get a little bit of ad revenue like every day, just a little bit. And of course, like the super chats and things like that. But we're not far away from actually having the threshold where then there's the payout, the monthly, the payout. So we'll see what happens. But I use so that with the rainfall effect. Yeah, I mean, for me, it's like fine. Like it's working, right? Like we're not having, and the thing was like when the thing was leaking, it's leaking hot water. So that sucked too. But I mean, again, it's all fixed now, just one of those things. So yeah. Yeast is considered a food. So look at this. So I have too many screens up right here. I still have some screens up from when I was consulting before. What in the heck is going on here? Okay, let me share this screen. All right. So I have some great news to share. So here we are. This is the Wisconsin School for the Blind. I was an administrator there up until I don't know, 3-4 years ago. As I said, it was the best job I ever had in my life. And that's not that's not hyperbole. I really loved working there. And if I go back on my entire career, that definitely was the best job. And I am so glad I got to do that. And also to work with safety with students who were blind. And then, we had the 2-alarm fire when I was on campus, and everybody successfully evacuated the building. And that was just handled extremely well because we put an emphasis on, all students participate in all instructional exercises. But to this day, the folks down there still ask me if I want to participate in the fantasy football league, which was going on. And I do, because it's just a great group of people. But as we see here, my team, the Mr. Meeseeks from Rick and Morty, is now 9-3, and we are in first place. Last year, we won the league title, the Mr. Meeseeks. And before, it's a competitive league. So I had many years where I was getting hammered here by this group. They're very good. But I was fortunate last year to get in the playoffs and to win the championship. So the playoffs start in 3 weeks, I think. But the Meeseeks at 9-3, and we have a points total. So points is the tiebreaker. So I have a big points lead over everybody. So I think as long as I won one more game, we have 3 games to go. If I win one more, I'm guaranteed a playoff spot. And even if I don't win any games, I'll probably still make the playoffs. Because if I tie with it's the top 4 teams. If I tie with any of these teams, I would likely have more points because I almost have 1,600 points. So, and I have a 5-game win streak here. The Mr. Meeseeks. Come on, let's give it up for the Mr. Meeseeks here. Believe it or not, the Mr. Meeseeks here at 9-3. Oh my goodness, Mr. Meeseeks. Corey, what do you think about that? The Meeseeks are 9-3. And I also won in my other league. Actually, I got to email the league commissioner. I'm not going to make the playoffs. I won that league last year. I'm 5-7, but I've won the last 3 games to finally get respectable. And I should have won a game before that. The dude, he won because his team blocked a kick. We draft a full defense in that other league, and it's really crazy. But anyway, at 5-7, it's reasonable. For a while, there's 2-7. It's pretty embarrassing after winning the league. But here the Meeseeks are 9-3. Corey, you're like, oh my God, the Meeseeks. Man, look at yeah. So that's good stuff. But I'm glad they still invite me to be a part of this. Is a non-compensated league. We don't have any cash. We don't have a traveling trophy that goes with this. But it's fun. So yeah, the Meeseeks here, 9-3. Just so you guys, the Meeseeks. Believe it or not, the Meeseeks. So look at that, 5-game winning streak. So it's kind of our update there. But I am unfortunately 5-7 in the league I've been in for 30 years. So yeah, I've been in a fantasy football league for 30 consecutive years, and I've won it 3 times. So there's 12 teams. So I don't know what the odds of that come out to be, but I won it last year. But yeah, 5-7 this year. So, but yeah, Mr. Meeseeks. So we're feeling good. By the way, I'm loving this mic. I thought the mic did a great job for that presentation. I was a little heavy on the plosives, but that's just because I had the mic kind of set up in the wrong spot. But the mic did a great job of rendering audio. I also ran it through like a post-production, program that kind of levels stuff out. But so all right. Well, let's do this. A few things. One is this is the velocity of information, right? And a tremendous book. So please, if you haven't read it, please read it, leave a review, and consider it as a Christmas gift, right? The audiobook comes out April 12th. I know it's a long time away, but awesome book. So, and then, one thing is always, I don't know. Well, people buy the book and they'll be like, it's a great book. And then they never leave a review. And Misty, Mrs. Wayne, I'm not talking about you because I know you're going to, do that or that you've whatever. But people like in my city have said, oh, like I've read the book, like I got it from the library and it was awesome and all that. I'd be like, okay, cool. Like, can you leave an Amazon review? Oh yeah, no problem. And then I'll be like, there's no review. It doesn't ever show up. And I'll see them like a month later and I'll be like, hey, like, I've been just checking, like, did you post your review? Oh, I didn't do that. Like, I'm like, post the review, please. Help me out. So this book is the most honest book ever written about the $1 billion school safety industry. So this book is a good primer for that presentation we just went through of saying, we do all this crazy stuff in school safety. And then, we don't do the 7 objectives for what we should do during an exercise, which I just gave you for free in that video. But the premise for that really comes down to this, where schools would rather spend $35,000 on a camera system per building than spend 40 minutes of time watching that video and taking that outline down and $5 on generic sticky notes, right? I mean, it's really what it comes down to. And so this is available. So $22, I believe, in paperback. The publisher sets the price, but it's an audio for $10.99. So $10.99, and I narrated that at a studio, and it's professionally sound edited, put together. You can find that all over the place. Now, if you go on Audible, they're going to charge you more. That's just what Audible does. But if you go to other places like Barnes and Noble, whatever, you'll find it for $10.99. I should try to go in there and run a special on it, but I don't know. I have to go back into Spotify, who's my distributor on this, and figure that out. There are ways to do that, but I figure for $10.99 for 6 hours of professionally narrated, and edited, this is really good. And it's my voice, right? So get the doc. So there's 55 reviews for this right now, which is really cool. So if you haven't read it, please review it. But this is the book, which is the 1-2 punch this is the first book to get your school board ready and your school ready for like the second part, which is, hey, like let's watch this 40-minute premiere video that Doc did. I left out commercials intentionally in that because I didn't I mean, like within the video I didn't want to put my book commercials and stuff. I'm like, that video is just a public service gift from me. So it is out there. So subscribe, do a thumbs up for Doc. I appreciate it. And look at this. Oh my goodness. Just show your support with a super chatter sticker. Gosh darn you guys. So I seriously do not know soccer except the announcers. Goal! That's Jim. Yeah, I'm not big into soccer. Just not. So it's funny, Jim. It's not a Dixie cup. It ain't no coffee mug. And if you don't want to be drinking out of it, some comedian 30 years. God, it's funny. It's good stuff. So I had an interesting thing happen today. It's a good story to tell. So, all right, here I'm priming the pump here with this show your support. So, let's see here. Let me get that off. All right. So I did Walmart shopping today. I hadn't done Walmart shopping in like 2 weeks. And, that was fine. But when I was in the store, it started to rain. And then apparently when I'd left the store, the rain had stopped, right? Well, I know that because I went outside and it wasn't raining. So that's a pretty good indicator that the rain stopped. But so as I get to my car, which was like in the middle of the parking lot, and I get to my car and this lady walks up to me and she's like, "Hey, is that cart wet?" I'm like, "Wet?" And she's like, "Has the cart been out in the rain?" Because she's like, "I hate when they bring in carts from the rain and you put your stuff in it and then, it's all stuff gets all wet and stuff like that." I'm like, "Nope." I said, "This cart is dry. Like it's been in the store. It wasn't rained on before. Cart's dry." And she's like, "Can I take that cart from you?" And I'm like, "I have no possession of the cart. Not my cart. Personally don't own this." And I'm like, "Sure. Yeah, just let me get my stuff out of it, right?" And then she's like, "Take your time, because I had quite a bit of stuff because I hadn't shopped in a couple of weeks. And but it was funny because then she's like, "Thank you. So this just means a lot to me because I just, it's a wet cart and they bring these things in from outside." I'm like, "Yeah, what was I going to do anyway? Like take the cart back to the cart corral?" I mean, my relationship with that cart was, about 30 minutes. There wasn't anything going on with, I had no equity in the cart. Wasn't an investment. I'm not loaning you the cart. It wasn't once at an Inglewood Walmart, so it's famous, right, Bacon? It's not a Dismore's cart that has a radio and a CD player on it, and now they have thumb drives. But it was just really this amazing thing of like how she was super appreciative to get this non-rained on shopping cart. I'm like, man, if that made your day, then that's awesome. New London Submarine Base in Groton, Connecticut. I think that's, if I'm correct, that's where some of the World War II subs. In Manitowoc, Wisconsin, they made World War II submarines. I think Groton, Connecticut, if I'm right, was where some of the companion subs were made at the same time. I could be completely wrong on that too, Vanessa, but I don't think I am. So happy birthday to your dad, Jim. Jim, happy birthday to your dad. Show him that show. We'll do a shout out right here for him, Jim. We'll make it rain for your dad. So with a super chat and a sticker. So happy birthday, Jim's dad. So look at that. So Inglewood Walmart. Yeah. So I have this quirky thing going on with the university. So, I teach fall and spring, and when they built my spring classes so you could register for them, at least the way that I see it, they built 3 sections of the same class that I teach. And I only teach one section, and there's nobody else that teaches this class. And I'm listed as the instructor for all 3. So I got this tonight, and I'm like, what what's the deal? Like, because there's section 1, section 5, section 8. I'm like, I don't need, and then they're like, well, there's a meta section. So then if you're teaching multiple sections of the same class, you can combine it. And I love the university, but I'm like, I only teach this class in spring. Like, I guess I get, like, if you're teaching a class and you have multiple, so you're teaching a class, but you have 3 sections of it in a semester. So you're teaching, right, political science 101, and you have 3 sections of it. Well, then I can see where it would make sense to have a meta class where you would have an overlying, so you're not rebuilding everything 3 times, and you just have, like, boom, boom, you click on class 1, class 2, class 3. But I'm like, this is the only class, and it's once a year, so obviously it changes. But I'm looking at it, and it's just kind of weird. I don't know what to do with it. I don't understand why they did that either. So they alerted me tonight that, hey, your meta class is up, and I went in and I'm like, well, I took a screenshot. I'm like, there are 3 classes now listed for me, and it's the same class, and I'm only teaching 1 section. I've done it for 19 years. That's not changing. I don't quite get what's going on here. So it's been quirky. It's just been kind of a quirky setup in spring. Again, I love the university. So, but I don't understand what exactly. I understand, like, the whole purpose of, like, doing this, but again, I'm teaching 1 section, so there isn't a need to do, like, a multiple section management added onto it. So it just kind of throws me off. That's one thing I learned. The older I get, I'm very rote, like, with the whole bathtub, faucet there leaking. I'm like, that's got to be fixed. And then, like, there's, if you go to my garage and, like, the places I've, like, chipped out and hammered out all the bad concrete and, like, repoured it, and, like, the floor kind of has this mosaic pattern, and it all is good, but you're like, why would anybody do this? And I'm like, it's kind of just my thing, right? Or I remember, like, we'd have a garage sale, and people would say to my wife, is your husband, like, an engineer? Because, like, stuff would be laid out in a certain way. No, he's not. But I'm kind of like, things have to be very, very specific for me. It's almost, the older I get, it's worse. It really, every day kind of is getting a little bit more. Like, when I mow my lawn, like, I've got different tools that I use to, like, trim up against the concrete curbing, and I have a certain look from whatever. And same thing with the vehicles. And, I never let a vehicle go 3,000 miles without changing the oil. And so far it served me well. But the older I get, the more I don't tolerate. And I wrote about this in Philosophy of Information. So you'd think, like, someone who writes about this would be able to manage it better, but I can't. I'm kind of like Monk a little bit. I'm not like the germ thing. That doesn't really bother me. But when the Taurus is out of order, when my routine is out of order, I don't handle that well. And the older I get, the less well I handle that. So, yeah, our good friend, Homeless in America. Hey, buddy. Thanks for being here. And yeah, I appreciate your shows. I appreciate you very much. So, yeah, snowing here in November. This is insane. Yeah, and I'm in Wisconsin, and we have no snow on the ground. We have a little bit of mist and fog today, but we're going to go through November. We've had a little bit of snow, a couple inches, but then it melts away. But, nothing like bad for the roads and nothing measurable. So, when you're in Wisconsin, especially southern Wisconsin, where I'm at, although, like, the plumber, his assistant said he was out ice fishing. It's like some small ponds, are frozen over, but you really do well if you can get through November without snow. Like, winter just shortens up psychologically for you. And the first 10 days here were 70 degrees in November. If you can get in, like, the thing is, you expect December, January, and February to be cold and snowy. So you just expect that, but then it kind of turns a corner. So, yeah, psychologically, this has kind of been a good thing, because, and today was a little misty and foggy, but yesterday was, 45 and sunny. I think I took a walk 2 days ago. It was like 48 and sunny. And it felt like really nice. No wind. So, I mean, it's been really good. Corey is saying, no snow or little snow pushes us into. Yeah, you're right, though. That's true. We haven't, we had like 3 inches of rain in October, like in over a couple days, but I don't know where we are at. We're not bad where we're at as far as like drought status, but that's interesting. Vanessa, you bring that up, right? This is a curious point. Like the Mississippi River being so low. By the way, I didn't buy Doritos today, which I should have. It was a big mistake on my part. So, I do my shopping list on my phone now, and I didn't add Doritos. So anyway, I have to try to overcome that as the night goes on. But we don't hear about the Mississippi River like on the news of being really low, and we don't hear about Lake Mead being really low and Hoover Dam not generating as much power and what was it? So on tonight's news, and I pointed this out to my dad. I said, I know people in the news, right? And different levels of the news. And there are certain things that the news people get directed to not report on. Not only get directed, but say if you report on this, you'd be in big trouble, right? So one of the things they were told to not cover was the railroad strike, right? Because it was this afternoon that Congress was going to consider voting to force the railroad workers to work and not to strike. So this is big, right? Because will the workers abide by that, or will they just strike? And this is huge stuff, this pending rail strike, which is we're down to like 5 days. And yet, it's not, it really should be the lead story on the nightly news from like ABC, like David Muir, who I don't like. I just think big fraud. But I think, I look at this stuff, and of course, like that's a no-go topic, right? And for local news, it's like, don't talk to anybody with the rail industry, or the rail comes through my town. Like we have an Amtrak hub and all that. Like, don't talk about it. Don't put it in the paper. Don't interview anybody. Don't talk with the rail workers. Don't do any of that. So that happens a lot, and people don't realize it, but the media gets directed to not talk about certain things from a local media point all the way to a national. But so yeah, actually, Corey, or homeless in America, fentanyl's another topic, right? That is on this kind of blacklist of things that you don't talk about in the news. You don't write articles about this in the paper. So, oh man, like I had a really cool wool blanket that we sold at a rummage sale. I should have kept it. I mean, it wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. And thinking back to it, I don't know why we didn't keep it as a extra one. It was more of like a survival, like wool blanket, but I had it for quite a few years. Just kind of crazy. Like we had this one mode where we just sold a lot of stuff to kind of like just lighten up the house. And I go back, and there's things that we probably shouldn't have sold. Like we had a really nice cot that we bought new. And I'm just like, there are times in summer, like that would have been kind of nice to keep and just sleep out on the porch. We have a screen-in porch, and on a night when it kind of gets cool and just to kind of change things up a little bit. I'm like, but anyway. So let's see here. Homeless, do you have like a PayPal link or anything? Do I have you as a moderator? Because let me do that, and then you can post that link. Just wait a second. There, you have moderator status. So please post it, and then I can put it as a pinned tweet if you post it. If you have PayPal or Cash App, whatever. Why don't you do that, and then I'll put it up as a posted. So I'm watching. I'm watching. There we go. Thanks. So I put it up here as the pin message. Oh, so Vanessa did that. Thank you, Vanessa. Awesome. All right, let me get this back square. Okay, got it. We are good. We are good. Actually, like Homeless, I'd like to have you on the show sometime. And as I say it sometime with a little bit of hesitation, I just say it because I'm doing the consulting now. So I start the consulting business back up. And that's good. Like I was able to find a lot of stuff that I had from before. Not everything, but kind of a lot of the stuff I had. Enough of it I saved and so I can fire things up again pretty fast. But like that's that's almost full gear. By December 12th, I'll be pretty much working my full schedule on that. And the thing is, like, then I don't know what that means for how I'm going to do the depth of the Safety Doc podcast. Like the not so much the shows, but the blog posts and the level audio. Like the show that I just did, I'll have that blog post out tomorrow. I already wrote that one, but I don't know in the future, like how I'm going to structure all of that. I gotta figure that out a little bit in my time stuff. Part of what I've been thinking about is, do I shorten up the oh, wait a second here. Just wait. Do I shorten up the blog posts? Because they're typically 5,000 characters, which isn't 5,000 words. But anyway, let me move this. Man, DLD's on again. That guy's nonstop. So let's check just a second here. But the Eep from Eboniwas. From Eboniwas. Yeah. All right. The Eep from Eboniwas. There we go. All right. We're good. All right. Cool. They're all my donation links. Gotcha. New comments. Please, it's only there for anyone who wants to donate. So Venmo. Oh, sorry, Vanessa, let me change this. What? Oh, there we go. All right. So the pinned message now is from Homeless America. There you go, buddy. It's like, what in the world? Like a Clark Griswold moment here. I was trying to figure this out. So, oh my goodness. So yeah, love you, Homeless. You're a great American. Yeah, absolutely. Love Homeless. So thank you, buddy. Thanks for saying that, Two Storms. So, yeah. So let's see. No, totally. So yeah. Got the sign in the back for Coop, and I haven't seen Coop in here, recently, but I've got a great kind of way to I want to thank Coop for the sign, but I don't want it just to be like a card that says thanks for the sign, because like that's a ton of work that you put in. That thing's awesome. So I want to make the thank you match. It's not going to match this, but at least to show my level of appreciation for this sign. So I've been thinking of some different things, and I think I landed on the exact thing that I want to do. So yeah, it's good. So yeah, things have been good. I can tell you one thing with starting up consulting again is how fast things move. Um, I thought about that a couple of weeks ago, and I sat down and just, hey, it's Krabby Turtle. Look at this. But I sat down and was kind of doing like, what would this really involve? And this is always a time of year when I'm like, you know what? Between now and really like the middle of April, there's not much I'm doing. I mean, when I say that, I'm not an outdoors winter person. So, you know, that this time of year, it gets dark at 4:30 and it's cold out and snowy, and it's just not. So really, like, what I try to do is I try to in the past would load up on teaching, like, or other projects, or if I was writing, like, I would put a lot of it during the cold months. And that's really where I'm at right now, is saying, if I'm going to do consulting, and I said I was going to, and I agreed and contacted back with the places I was consulting, and they were excited, um, and then to say, all right. And then, you kind of get this moment where it's a little bit, I don't know if it's overwhelming, because there's a lot of work that goes into that. And then, I'm going through my files and kind of like restarting everything, and what's changed in the last, 2 years since I kind of retired out of that. And then how long do I want to commit to this? And so basically I said, you know what, I'll commit until like July of 2024. So what is it, like 18 months or something like that? Like I'll make that commitment to do this for 18 months, and then I'll reevaluate things. But the reason I'm doing this, I don't know what you guys feel, let me know, but I'm just like, I don't think the economy is good. I don't think the situation of the world is good. Pending rail strike, this ongoing war between Russia and Ukraine, and these massive millions of billions of dollars being given from the US to Ukraine. And the supply shortages in the US, and the food shortages, right? And just I'm looking at these things, and what in the world is going on? Like, I've never experienced this in 51 years. And so I'm just like, man, I've got to hedge. I've got to hedge things as much as I can. And, when I left consulting because, I just wanted more time to do, I had to promote the book, make sure the velocity of information got finished. So that was during the summer of 2021. And then I wanted to bike more and just kind of, just do other things other than consulting. I mean, consulting becomes pretty consuming, because once you start, they're always asking you to do more. So, and of course they pay you, because that's one thing with consulting, right? It's not a salaried position. So, that maybe that's a benefit, right? So if they ask for 5 more hours a week, then they get billed 5 more hours a week. But that does, it can be one of these things that just starts to snowball, and suddenly you find yourself working a lot more than what you thought going in. And anyway, so I'm trying to figure that. Even like right now, I've started things back up, and I'm like, there's already, I don't know if it's there's pressure vibes to like, well, would you take on more? And I'm like, let's just get started. Let's see how things go, before I commit to like all these other things. But I don't know, man. I don't know what you guys feel. Jim, homeless, Corey, what you guys are observing out there. But I don't think things are good. I don't think they're getting better. I think, things will kind of be propped up through Christmas, right? I don't think Black Friday sales were great otherwise, than online, but like as far as like the brick and mortar retailers, I don't really think so. But I'm like, I just don't know. I think once we get past into 2023, the early start, and the mortgages, and people spend all this crazy money on homes and vehicles and stuff like that. I just think the roosters are gonna come home to nest, right? I mean, I don't, and I just don't. I think it's just a world thing. So I don't know if it's waiting for a couple of years of this to kind of work itself out. And the other part is like, what if the presidential election goes sideways in 2024? Like, I mean, it's not unrealistic to say you could have a decade that's a down economy. I mean, Japan's had that for 30 years for the most part. So, yeah, homeless is saying things are looking horrible. I don't see things looking better in the short term. So that's where, this was a hedge your bet type of thing. And, for me, and I mean, I'm good at it and I enjoy it, but yeah, it's one of these things of like, well, I'd rather, I guess I'd rather be able to work from my home office right here in the studio and not get in a car and drive and do some things and just to have some of those things going on versus, just an economy that is real iffy. I don't know if that makes anything. So store, stop carrying the indoor variety. Oh, Purina Ketchup. Yeah. What did I see when I was shopping at Walmart today? There were a number of things that I saw that I was surprised how small the selection was. One was shop towels, just those paper towels, the blue ones. Really small selection. Like that used to be like a wide area on a shelf. Now they rearranged the Walmart, so it's hard to find where things are at. But I'm like, that was just a small area. And I kind of ran into that a lot today of like, there would be stuff in stock. So that wasn't necessarily the issue. I think I found everything that was on my list, but there were very few of them. And then like, even on the place on the shelf, it was much smaller. So I'm just, and it, I would say our Walmart, the number of shelves by 20%. The aisles are very wide for the most part. I mean, 10 to 15 feet wide. So they took out a lot of shelves. And I mean, you kind of do that, right? If that's a permanent solution, I don't think you just do that temporarily. So yeah, just kind of a weird feel of saying, oh, like this used to be like 8 foot wide and 2 rows, and now it's like a 3 foot section. But I don't know, man. I just got bad vibes. So homeless is saying, when people give me free food 9 times out of 10, it's expired by a couple of years. Holy smokes. Wow. Jim is saying it was free from the food bank. I have no idea if it's even cat food. Whoa. People think giving their homeless their garbage is helpful. Yeah, that's crazy, right? The blue paper towels are great for paper. I buy the red ones. This is Jim. Wherever in the score pack or 50 pack, Tractor Supply, Bull Freight, whatever. Yeah. So yeah, I always like to have a pretty good supply of shop towels on hand for different things. Like when the plumber flushed the water heater yesterday as part of the other stuff. Like it's this almost like a clear slime that comes out of it, and that's that old calcium stuff. Then there was actually like calcium little rocks that came out and stuff like that. But and there's comes out to a drain, but it's cleaning that stuff up so like it all didn't go down the drain because I want issues with the drain. But I always try to keep a pretty good supply. When I'm detailing out vehicles, I'll do that just for like interior stuff. But yeah, so this is Corey. See if they have a St. Vincent de Paul in your neighborhood in America. They do. In my neighborhood, they have a St. Vincent. We have a large Goodwill. This jacket came from Goodwill. I think this was $7. My sport coat. I bought a couple sport coats from Goodwill. The nice thing is you can try them on and see if they fit and all that stuff. The sport coat is from our Goodwill. $7 for this. I love it. It's great. So I've never paid more than like $30 for a sport coat. But the nice thing about Goodwill is you can try on a sport coat. We're in this kind of weird stage, right? Because people aren't going to the office as much. So formal clothes are being, donated. But also like the prices kind of aren't going down. Not that $7 is a great deal for this, but like, 2-3 years ago, it's been like $4. Like, but the stuff on eBay, like if you get a sport coat like this on eBay, people charge us insane amounts of money, or they try to. Like I looked at a couple of these things. I'm like, what? I'm not paying $75 for a used sport coat. You gotta be crazy. Thank you very much. So yeah, I need to go to Goodwill and get a spoon. Yes, a spoon. For when I go out biking. So I bring tuna packets with, and I need a spoon for that. I usually like take fish crackers and pour them in a tuna packet and then crunch it all up and then eat that for the protein. So it's a pretty good outfit, but like just like straight up tuna isn't that appealing when you're out biking. So you got to mash in some of the like spicy fish cracker stuff. But this is Corey. Out of the last 10 months, 7 times I didn't have the 18 kilo boxes of litter. They wanted me to buy the 7 kilo jug for $8. I picked up litter today, a 50-pound bag. But last time I went shopping, they only had 30-pound bags. So we have 3 cats, and I maintain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cat boxes. Yes, we have 5 cat boxes spread around the basement. So with 3 cats, and so I maintain those. So I go through like every 2 weeks, I go through a bag of litter. But that's one of those things. I always try to keep a litter reserve that we could go like 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks without litter, because I'm thinking like if shipping gets really tight, shipping crisis, and just in general, like litter's heavy and it's not that expensive. So if you're going to cut something out of a freight order, it would probably make sense to cut out litter and to put other things if you're, as a store. So I always try to keep extra litter on hand, because there are times too they'll go there's no litter at all. Walmart entire area's cleared out, and then we have like a Tractor Supply, but then litter is like twice as much. I'm like, holy smokes. So Canada, Canada. Something about the national anthem. So yeah. So got it. The low weight stuff costs twice as much. I'm allergic to cats. Yeah, I got to get some generic cat litter. It works great for oil spots on the driveway. Like none of the vehicles leak oil, but every once in a while somebody stops over and might be some oil, or or if I'm working on my bike or something and a little oil comes off the chain, like cat litter, boom, works great to take care of that. Oh, this is Jim. I make myself a salmon patty tomorrow. Give Miss Underfoot a bit of the salmon. She likes salmon, but she doesn't eat much. Oh my goodness, she weighs less than work. Yeah, we had a cat that loved. So we had a cat that ate Doritos out of a bag. So that was something, man. That cat would come up and put his whole head in the bag and retrieve a Dorito, and then would sit down and eat it. And I'm like, impressive. Good for you. So, yeah, that's good stuff, man. So yeah, we got 3 cats. We have 1 cat who's kind of not in good health, kind of in a hospice situation right now, but he's been social. He's been out, which is good. There was a while there he was kind of hanging out just in the basement, and that's usually a really bad sign if a cat doesn't want to be up around people. But lately, last couple of weeks, he's been hanging out upstairs, and so that's been good. So the cats are enjoying the fire. So I stoked it before I came on air, and so the upstairs is really warm. So it's so funny to go into the fireplace room, and the cats are always there, and they're all sprawled out, just like radiators taking in all of that heat in front of the fire. I just get the biggest kick out of it. I mean, they've got to be like, just beyond happy, right? To have that fire. So that is their thing. So you guys have any questions from the safety presentation, or any feedback from the the premiere from the 8 o'clock, my 41-minute premiere on safety objectives, or like, where do you think that would go next? Or what do you think would happen? Like if you shared that out with a teacher friend that you know, or a superintendent, or your board of education, you coming in and you're like, hey, like, why, or even, like media, why don't you ask these questions? Why don't you ask, about communications, right? Like, how's that, how's that going um, during these drills? So it's one of those things where I'm like, that is a really good show. Like, that's a really good episode. And there's a ton in there, and I did a lot of work on the edit, so it moves at a brisk pace, and and everything, and they get screenshots. But I'm like, what will happen to it? So, well, homeless, it's out there. So yeah, it premiered, but it's out there, and but yeah, it is. It's one of those things. I'm like, geez, yeah, pet is. I I grew up in a dog family. We always had like one dog, and now we have 3 cats. I think at one time we had 4 cats, but I like our cats. I mean, I think our cats are fun personality, and we got this really big cat, like 28-pound cat, and he's kind of a rugged cat, and it's fun to hang around with. He's usually sleeping in my chair if I come down here in the morning. Like, this is this thing. By the way, like this chair, I totally I got out the shampooer, my Bissell shampooer, and I cleaned this chair. It's got the handheld attachment. I spent a couple hours, like, it had been a long time, and man, this chair really needed it. So it feels, this chair is like easily 20 years old or older. I'd like to get a gaming chair, but I don't really have a good enough reason to get rid of this chair, because there's really nothing wrong with it. Well, I guess there are things wrong with it. It permanently is set at a certain height. I put these little things around it you could buy when the shock no longer works. So it just like sets at a certain height. It's not adjustable, but other than that, it's pretty good. So, but yeah, the after lockdowns and isolations, friends became more important than ever. You bet, Jim. Yeah. Jim, my farmer buddy had a fall. He's in rehab facility trying to fix his balance. Oh my God. Well, best wishes to him. Yeah. Balance becomes so, I think I talked about this in the show, because I learned about this. Here, I can adjust. I get shorter as the show goes on. I'm like 5'1" by the time the show's over. But your balance, this is, what I'd read, once you hit age 50, for example, then each decade going forward, you lose 10% of your balance skill, I guess. I don't know. You become 10% more likely to lose your balance, fall. And so, so part of the point was that you can practice, you can exercise, you can do things to help keep your proprioception, spatial awareness skills going. And one was like to stand on one leg. So like what they would say is, like, if you got people together, you had like 15-year-olds, and you said, like, close your eyes and stand on one leg, they could do that for like 5 minutes. No problem. Now, if you get someone who's 50, right, and you say, do that, they might be able to do that for like 30, 40 seconds. You get someone who's like, 60, they do it for 15 seconds. Someone who's 70, they could do it for like 10 seconds. So, and it had less to do with like muscle mass and muscle tone, and had more to do with, I don't know, the cerebellum and the brainstem of being able to, again, to do like the gyroscope type effect for balance. So they're just saying, like, one of the points in the study was like, get out and walk on uneven surfaces. Like when I voted in November, there was a lady in line in front of me, and she had kind of this, she had hiking gear on and stuff like that. And this other guy said, are you going out for a hike afterwards? It was in the morning. She said, yeah, I'm going over. We have this big state park next to us. And anyway, she said she was 92. And, but I mean, whoa, right? So, but that's the thing, right? If practice on uneven surfaces, where they were saying, people who go in and walk like 2 miles a day on a track or something, like that's only so helpful, especially as you get older. It's much better to kind of walk a trail for like a mile or two. It doesn't have to be like a crazy trail, but just like, to walk a trail and have uneven surfaces. So I've kind of taken that to heart too. Like when I go out in winter, like I will, but I always like walk during the day because at night there's too much black ice and it's not, we don't have enough sidewalks. So like you're walking on the side of the road, it's not safe, um, but I have a pretty good hiking area near me. Like I can leave my house and get to this hiking area by walking. And that's pretty nice. And so it's uneven terrain, but it's not crazy terrain. So it's where the coyotes are. So homeless, I'm living in a freezer. Oh no, buddy. So that's not good. I'm sorry to hear that. Oh my goodness, your car's completely covered in ice. Holy smokes. Whoa. Corey's saying my heat hasn't worked since I moved in 10 years ago. Now I'm warmer. Oh my goodness. Yeah, my daughters today, they were saying because we had the shower head replaced when the faucet valve was replaced, and they're like, yeah, the shower's not like as strong as it was because it diffuses out through more holes and stuff. And I'm thinking, just be glad you've got a warm shower, right? Like, holy smokes. Like, be glad you have a house and hot water and a shower. I mean, yeah, I just was kind of like, I don't think you're framing these first world problems a little bit incorrectly here. So, be glad, that you've got these things. So, and like, what'll it matter? I mean, in 3 days you'll be used to it anyway. It's just different. But I don't know. So at that point, I'd go out in the woods and build a shelter. Good friend Corey. Jim, I've been there, homeless, no job, 141 to my name. The refuge church shelters saved my life. But honestly, without my little S10, I'd be dead. Man, sorry to hear that, Jim. But as you said, been there, not currently there. So, wow. And this is Corey. Is it the Rideau Trail? Starts in Kingston, goes all the way to Ottawa. Wow. We have a canal it's about 200 years old here. Connects the Fox and Wisconsin River, and they rebuilt the trail system on that with a couple $1 million in like state and I think federal funding to do that. And I think it opens up very soon, like this kind of finished product. So I've got to check that out. I can get there from here. It's not easy. Like just walking, like it would be kind of a pain to do that just as walking from here. But I used to have a really good routine. And now with consulting, it's going to mess all of that up. But I used to get up and go to the library. So I'd grab a coffee, go to the library open like 8 or 9. And I'd bring down a notebook and I'd be taking like notes for a book or I'd be working on an outline and chilling with my coffee. And they have a room on there that has a fireplace and like big windows looking toward the river. And then I get done and I would take a walk. There's a levee and it has a walking trail on it for like 2 miles. And then the sun would be coming up. So like you'd be walking toward the sun, but the sun wouldn't be in your eyes because by that time it would be up a little higher. And, it'd just be beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And on the way back, the sun's at your back. And I did that for like a year, maybe longer, a couple times a week. And then I loved it. And I just didn't do it anymore. So it's kind of one of those weird things. You're like, well, why'd you stop? Well, I don't know. It was awesome, but I need to get back into that. So one time I spilled my coffee, a 24-ounce coffee, and set it down on this little table there, and there's just kind of comfy chairs. and I knocked it over and coffee all over. There's people, no one said anything. I went to the bathroom and I got all these towels out of the dispenser and I was soaking this coffee, and the floor was coffee colored anyway, which was a great benefit because you couldn't really tell I spilled coffee after I soaked everything up. And I had this big mass of like this wet towels and I threw them out. So, man. So, was I talking with you about AstroTurf last week? Look at this. Week before to jail. I don't know. We got a lot of that going in around us at the high schools, that AstroTurf stuff. It's pretty crazy. So, then University of Wisconsin hires a new football coach for over $7 million a year. And I'm just like, what in the world? You know, this is crazy, right? I mean, players don't, well, I guess players can get name and image likeness. And if you're really popular, that makes sense, but otherwise they're not getting anything. And yeah, you're paying $7 million to a football coach. I'm like, that's quite a gig, right? Because like if you do that for a year, you're set. And usually those contracts have, if they fire you, right, you get your contract bought out. So but I'm like, holy smokes. It's just it's just mind-boggling to me that those setups exist. So like University of Wisconsin, right? You've got, like your head of thoracic surgery, right, in your university program or whatever, who maybe makes 500 to 700,000 a year. I don't know what the number is, but they're not making 7 million. Who's the charge of like teaching future doctors or brain surgeons or whatever. I mean, that person is not making that salary, so it's just so out of whack, right? Kind of what we pay entertainers, and I would put football coaches, right, athletics in that realm, right? In these big 80,000 seat, they redid the south end zone, and they took out the bleacher seats and they put in all this, individual seats where you have then, you punch in on an app and they bring you your food. And I mean, these people are paying hundreds or thousands of dollars per game for these seats. And just like, nope, I just don't see it. So spitting distance. So look at this. So, oh yeah, Corey. No, I've been kind of following the what's happening in China with the lockdowns again. So, who knows what'll be happening. That's another reason I was compelled to return to consulting. There's a part of me now that is kind of like, it would have just been easier to not stop consulting. But actually, like when I stopped consulting, the economy was really roaring. Like things were really looking good, and like and we seem to be in a good place as a world. Like coming out of the pandemic, and just things seem to be returning to a good path, and then that's all gone. So, but yeah, I don't know, man. It's really weird. It's yeah. So look at Jimmy, the governor. Yeah. This is, I was surprised with Arizona how that, that election turned out. The governor wasn't the person I expected to win. I don't live in Arizona, but then, that's just kind of gone quiet. So I don't know. It's really, really weird stuff. But no, I've been trying to, again, just really hedge things as much as I can. And that's where I look at consulting. One of the great things with consulting in my situation, and I would never recommend this path to anybody. You look at all those degrees behind you and stuff like that. Like that's a bad path to take. It worked out for me. It wouldn't, but it's crazy. But a lot of it is just like doing the stuff that I do, like that video that you saw, and like people know I'm competent and I know what I'm doing, and I understand these systems that are pretty complex. But yeah, is the moment you start with consulting, and again, you work with people, you get back in, and it's real legal, intense stuff. Not a lawyer, but like a lot of this is legal stuff. They People just want you to do more and more and more. Like the first within the first week, I was asked several times, "Would you be willing to take on more?" And I'm like, "I don't know, but yeah, I'm kind of like maybe I will. Like maybe I have this approach now. I'm kind of like, should I just take the next 18 months and just, I mean, my kids, my daughters are, they're not like little kids anymore. They're middle school and high school. So like they're kind of doing their own stuff anyway. Um, should I just say like for the next 18 months, I am going to go just fully immersed and just crazy into consulting and then maybe exit after that, but I've kind of been thinking about that. Like, do I just go to the wall and take it, because I don't know. I don't know what's going to be there afterwards. I'm still young enough in this setup to kind of do that. And I don't know. I really believe, guys, there's going to be massive layoffs. I'm in a Walmart today. Like, there's not a lot of people there. There's a lot of stock that doesn't match the season. They're trying to get out grills, right, that no one's buying. And I'm just like, I don't know, man. I don't see it. I just don't like, I don't see where the good times are. Like the turning the corner, like, I thought the corner was going to be 3D printing. I thought that was going to kind of revolutionize everything. And this whole thing with electric vehicles, stuff like that. I'm like, I still think singularity, we were going to get there in, we were going to be there in 30 years anyway. And this whole, like getting rid of coal-fired power plants or whatever, like that would have just naturally happened. Like things would just become more efficient, solid-state batteries and stuff within 30 years. So like in a big time frame of like thousands of years, what does it really matter? So this whole thing of just being like, this has to happen now. And, like I have a relative and they just put in a power charger at their house and they're doing an electric vehicle. And it's like Wisconsin and stuff. And they're like, well, we're probably not going to drive it really far. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm not like how long, because your other vehicle you had for like 25 years, like this battery is not going to last 25 years, even if you charge it 10 times. I mean, and like, how does it really work if you're not regularly running a vehicle as charged? Like how, like if, I don't drive my car for 3 weeks, I don't really have to worry about that. I don't drive it for 3 years. That's probably a problem. But I'm like, is your vehicle still charged? And, I don't know, man. I was just kind of weird that they kind of went down that path as fast as, and then they were telling me like they ordered all this stuff and it has like this image detection on it. So it does heat sensing. So it'll show you like deer on the side of the road and stuff like, well, that's all cool, right? Until it's not, until that software burns out or that sensor burns out and you have to replace like a windshield that detects this. I don't know. I don't know. No, 2052. If you're talking singularity, Jim, that's really it. That's probably the outside window of what the belief is where we will hit singularity. Meaning that technology, there'll be kind of this like crossover between robotics and neural links and phasing, just logical phasing out of gasoline and coal, because you'll just have things that'll be much, much more efficient and cheaper. Like just naturally to get there in 2052. It's kind of like high def TVs. I mean, think about high def TVs like 30 years ago. No one would have an idea. And you just get there. Like it just happens. But like just forcing this to be mandated is really bad. Like there would just be a point when it wouldn't be economic. People just would move to the better system. But yeah, I don't know. Like where I'm at, outside of my town, we have a major coal power plant, which is featured in like some coal power plant magazine like 3-4 years ago. It's really efficient, all stuff, billions of dollars fix it, update it. And now they're shutting it down. And they have like solar. And I'm like, I don't know, man. I just don't see it. So, but yeah. So my drill has a cord. Oh my goodness, Corey. Yeah, old school. Those are good drills. So, what do I have that's corded? That I forget. That is usually wireless right now, but yeah, corded drill. I mean, if you're doing anything for the long haul, that's the way to go. I need to get. Oh man, so like a cheap chainsaw. There's so many times this could have come in. This week, I could have used a chainsaw. So I just have all hand saws of different size, and then I have like outdoor saws and stuff like that. So, but like our neighbor, a couple houses down, they had a tree that was being taken down, and I was looking at some of the limbs, and then they were just shoving them through like the chopper, and I'm like, yeah, I could make wood out of that, man. If you just say, if I can bring my wheelbarrow down or let me like have 10 minutes on just cutting up some of this stuff and chopping it down to length, like I'll take it away. I know you've got a company here and we'd have to have some kind of like arrangement for this, but even in back of where my house is, there's plenty of trees that have fallen and stuff. And I'm like, if I could just kind of clean that up a little bit and then just let the stuff sit. I call them burners. It's where it's a piece of wood that's, maybe 20 inches long and about 8 to 10 inches in diameter. Like that's perfect for just when you've got a fire going for a few hours and you want to throw something in that's going to burn overnight. So I don't have many of those right now. I need to get more. But anyway, that's where the whole thing is. Like all the saws are electric now. And so I'm like, I don't know. I just don't. I'm just not really into committing to an electric chainsaw. So, drive around on trash day. People throw out all kinds of small engine stuff. Yeah, I had a neighbor who was a multimillionaire, man, doctor in a lot of clinics right next to me. He used to throw out stuff, and I would just like put it into my house. I have shelving that he threw out, perfect. Installed it. I mean, just a ton of stuff he would just put out there. He just didn't want anymore. Just like he wouldn't even put free, just put it at the end of the thing or put out for the garbage. And so I'd be like, it didn't matter for him. It was just crazy. But yeah, I do need to. I got to make some decision here on a chainsaw. So one of the reasons too is, for the first time ever, I use sticks for kindling. I used to always use like the remnants from splitting wood, which work really well, but just sticks. And I'm not just like a puny weenie stick. I'm talking, like something that you cut down to like 18 inches, and it would probably be at least a half inch diameter, right? But man, like ever since, so this year I did that. I went out with banana box and spent a few hours like the wooded area and cutting this stuff up and put this box of sticks, and then dries out. That stuff works amazing to start fires. It's the best fire starter I've ever had. It's free, no cost. So I'm going to do that again. I need it to get to be like under 20 degrees, because then like all the wood ticks, like they're not out, man. Like now it's a little iffy. Like I don't want to be back there, but and then it's easier to just like snap stuff too, like when you're cutting it. But that's where if I had my saw, because I do it with hand saw, it takes a while. I got to sharpen the blades, stuff like that. But if I actually had a little chainsaw, I could really go to town back there. It kind of just regenerates every year, so it's not like I would clean the area out and then be like, whoa. But yeah. So saw a nice TV stand today. Thought about it. Corey, get this. I was out walking like 3 days ago, and somebody cut, because it had cut marks. Somebody cut a piece of it must have been, it was a tree limb, but then it didn't have any branches on it. I don't know what the plan was there, but they put it out by the curb. And I was walking thinking, God, man, I could carry that home and on my shoulder, right? And the thing was like 7 foot long, and I could cut this into like, I could definitely cut this into, like 7 burner pieces of wood. But it was like a mile from my house, maybe a little longer. And I was just like, I don't know, it wasn't super clean, and I didn't know if I want to just be hauling this thing through town, but I should have done it. So I should have just picked it up and hauled it in. But I looked at it, I'm like, God, this is perfect. So, man, I don't know if I would carry it back. Yeah, I was on my way back, so at least that made sense. If I was on my way out, I wouldn't have even considered it. But I'm looking at it, and I'm like, okay, like this. I mean, it wasn't rotten, but I'm like, I could just throw this on my shoulder and carry this. So, if I really spent the time, like in my backyard, where the wooded area is, I could easily have 3-4 boxes every year of like really nice kindling. And I think I do need to spend, it's free, right? Like it just makes sense. One time I paid to get, I think, that really good kindling down at this place that made hardwood moldings for like doors, door frames, stuff like that. And they'd fill up your trunk for like 50 or 60 bucks. And the wood was really, really good. It wasn't treated with anything. It was just dried. But then I actually ended up keeping a lot of the wood because I was like, this is too good to burn. Like there's stuff I can make out of this. But now I'm just like, I'm just sold on the stick stuff. Ever since I started to use that, I'm like, and seriously, the fire, because I mean, you let it dry out and that stuff is awesome. So seriously, I have trouble with a 10-pound sack of taters. I could go for a tater tots right now. Could probably eat a whole bag of them. It's an ancient Briggs & Stratton engine. Unless it has a bullet hole in it, it can be repaired. Yep, I got a Briggs & Stratton on my snowblower. The carb went bad on that once. I was running like, I don't think the gas was very good. And now I only run True Fuel, and I know like lately people have been kind of saying, well, that's not that great either. But I'm like, I've never had a problem with the carburetor since I run True Fuel for like the last 5 years. On that. So it's a little quirky, but it's pretty good. Thing is, like, I mean, my snowblower, I only use, oh God, I don't know, maybe like 10 times a year. So does the job, does what I need it to do. So I remember life without a snowblower. That sucked. I have a heavy duty metal wheelbarrow. I think I have the biggest wheelbarrow in the neighborhood. So whenever there's like a storm, usually it always comes out, help people move stuff. But Briggs & Stratton. So yeah, I run full synthetic oil in all of my stuff too. But so wow. All right. Yeah, Jim is saying, look at the average cordless drill. The battery does not last 1,000 charges, right? True. So, and you think about cars too, right? People getting these, like, once you're 3-4 years in and you're charging your car every day, like, I don't know. But yeah. I mean, my cordless drill, and I've had it for quite a while, my Makita, I can maybe get 20, 30 minutes of decent use out of it. If I put a grinding wheel on it, it dies out pretty fast, right? So, but which reminds me, in summer, I'm going to redo the concrete inside my garage. A little ledge that goes in the wall. I'm going to put some forms in there. I'm going to clean it all out and take out all the bad stuff on it, and then I'm going to form it up and then mix up new concrete and then just put it in the form I think it'll be pretty cool when it's done. Like, it should look good and it should hold up well. I'm going to seal it also. So, but it's one of those projects that I know I can handle. So just take my time with it. So Corey is saying, I miss taking mom's car out so she could do crossing guard. Oh my goodness, in winter. Yeah. Crossing guard. That was something too. Like, after I get done consulting and all this stuff, like, another 3-4 years here, like, we live 2 blocks away from the school complex, and there are 2 crossing guards who are assigned to that at different points, but it's literally 2 blocks away from where I'm at. So that could be like a next thing. They pay the crossing guards pretty good. I think it's like $30 a day, or it could even be higher. But so it's Mike. Heck, as long as you have suck, squeeze, bang, blow, that brig should fire probably a fuel, make it happen issue. Yeah. So yeah, mine's held up pretty well. In summer, I always, take it out and fire it up too. And then I usually do the touch up on the paint, in summer on my snowblower because of it, the rust a little bit. So to sand it off and to prime it and paint it. So it doesn't look super pretty, but we've had it 20 years and it holds up. So, but yeah, that has been pretty cool. So Jim is slightly older with bad knees. So Bolo's saying have backup batteries for the backup batteries. So yeah, I have some backup chargers, battery packs. I have 2 of them that I've charged. I've also, like, ever since I lost the Safety Doc podcast, on that external hard drive, I backed my external hard drive up to an external hard drive, and usually all that's on the internal hard drive. I have 6 hard drives on this computer. So, and I got in different places. Like, we've got a lot of redundancy. Kind of the most important thing for me is family photos. So those are also on CDs, which are stored in another location. I don't put that in web storage though. I don't believe in putting personal information up on the cloud. And then it's this whole thing too of like, how are you going to access these things down? I'm always like, think about everybody who took all these VHS tapes. Now, those don't work anymore. They deteriorate. Our VHS players now, like, a lot of computers don't have CD players, or cars don't have CD players. Like, where are you going to store something that, so you go to your kids, well, here's the pictures, and you're growing up, you give them a thumb drive. They're like, well, what's this for? And then does the thumb drive even work? Right. So, that's where I think you got to, like, print some of this stuff off. It's really a weird thing. Like, cause like when I grew up, my parents had 1 or 2 photo albums, and that's all the photos of me from like birth to 18. And, like with my kids, like, we have a ton of photos. I mean, we probably take 1,000 photos a year, right? I mean, just with the digital camera that you're printing off, but, so it's weird. As long as it's not completely locked up as compression will run. It's Mike. So yeah, my Briggs & Stratton running well. So I haven't used it yet this year. No need to, but with the new concrete coming out there, I'm kind of looking forward to do that. So make it a Hapiner. This is a shout out to Derek from Vice Grip Garage. Wow. Oh my goodness, Corey, I heard of a road repair of the cracked engine block being fixed with a chunk of wood. That is amazing. Holy smoke. It's Misty Mrs. Wayne. What chapter? Still chapter 4. So, all right. I'm excited for when the audiobook comes out, which is, we're still a ways away, April 12th, but that's cool. I can check how the book sales are doing. Well, I can check the audiobook sales. Let's see. Dun, 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 dun. Once both are available, that'll make things a little bit better. How are we doing here? Not bad. So, Yep. So School of Airs, $10.99 out there. Let me check. Where do I have the ability to do promo? I don't know. I got to check this out. So, well, anyway, I should be able to run promos from now occasionally on Spotify. I don't know how to do that, so this would make sense to do it. Although, like $10.99 is pretty good deal for a 6-hour audiobook, but yeah. So, man, I wish I would have got Doritos today. It's a big mistake to not do that. I've just got to put that perpetually on the list. Just like leave it as its own spot. So, oh man, it's bad. So, oh yeah, chapter 4. Man, the first 3. Oh, thank you. Yeah. So, it's really fun to talk with people who have enjoyed both books, but the velocity of information, there's nothing out there like it. And one thing is, I was talking with a YouTube influencer who lives in Canada, who has a very popular, I don't know, kind of like political channel, but she was saying, yeah, like there's nothing out there like this. But I'm like, well, let's promote it then. But when I talk to people, things people forget, like essential, non-essential. Everybody woke up that day is essential, non-essential, and they shut down the small engines place, but they left the Lowe's open. So even if the small engines place near town said, oh, we'll socially distance, we'll only let 2 people in at a time, we'll do this, there was no option for that. And so like I'll go through like parts of that book and even the timeline, which I'm really, really glad I did the graphics for the timeline, had that Amy K. DiStefano make those. But people forget that. And so when you bring it up, it's a weird thing because they're like, oh yeah, I guess it did happen. And I'm like, yeah, like, right. Like this is big stuff. Like, and that's, so I think the book, as you get further along, right, is we get years away, it's going to have this greater value because of how strongly it's cited. It's like 471 sites and notes, stuff like that. Potato wedges cut into 6, so the rock on the skin side pre to 400, bake for about 40 minutes. Awesome. So, wow. Yeah. I could go for a thing of taters. I also didn't do this today. So I guess I kind of slacked out on my shopping. I could have bought the freezer burritos. So to fire those up at night and to throw like hot sauce on them. But there's also, so I'm debating too. I used to walk every night. I used to go to the track. Even in winter, I would hike the track if it was like snowstorm. And I mean, that wasn't easy. It also wasn't enjoyable, but I hiked every single day and I was in great shape. And then I was also eating, a lot of the straight up whey, not the stuff that you get that's processed. And I mean, I was in great shape. I was feeling good. And I'm like, I think if I take on a high level of consulting, not only for like the cognitive part that goes into that, but just the time part, like I've got to commit then to a couple other changes. And one is that I hike every night or go on the track, like get through that. And then I bring in more whey, more protein, because I think your body just functions better with more. For me, it's always worked. And then I need to go to bed earlier. when when I was in the routine of going to bed by like 8:30, like, because you're up early and prepping stuff and consulting, I was pretty good with that. But now I'm going to bed 10:30, 11, or even like if I start walking and don't get home till 11 or something, it just kind of throws things off, man. I had a coworker who she'd go to bed like at 8 at night every night. And she's just like, that's what it works for me, just go to bed like at 8 o'clock. And I'm just like, especially in winter, because you're not fighting the dark thing. It's dark at 4:30 here, and it's cold. So but I'm like, yeah, you know what? Um in summer I wouldn't do it because 8:30 it'd still be sunshine. I'd be out in my chair, probably like just chilling. Um but definitely, this time of year, I think it's kind of like a hibernation type thing. I gotta be in bed earlier. Like I gotta shift it to like 8:30, and so I don't know. But I made this list of things, kind of like you do on January 1st, like your New Year's. So I guess you gotta do it in December, like your New Year's resolutions. I've made that of things I'm going to change to be at like peak proficiency for consulting, because otherwise consulting is just going to eat up all of my energy, and it's going to make me um I'm not going to enjoy it. So, right. And I guess a job is a job. That's one thing, um but I don't know. I think there are some things that I need to specifically be like, I'm going to take my big hydro flask and do, 32 ounces of water, a day, and but I don't. Again, I've got to really kind of stick with a routine. If I go back in life, the most the biggest accomplishments professionally have always been when I've had the most going on. So the PBS presentations, the books, right? The articles, the biggest journal articles I've had, like all of the big consulting, I've always the biggest stuff, the biggest accomplishments have always been forged when I've been burning the candle on both ends. And that really is what's happening. So, um, Doc, I was seriously going to bed at 6 p.m. Then a gaming live stream came on and I stayed up, and here we are. So, yeah, I think it's good to go to bed early. Like there was a stretch when that really worked for me. Um, so look, Canadian bacon, look at this. Still really bummed I didn't get those Doritos. It wasn't even a debate. I wasn't like thinking, should I get Doritos or not? I just didn't have it on a list, so I wasn't thinking about it. But now I'm like, damn it. I just missed out on Doritos. So we ordered Pizza Hut the other day, which we hadn't done for like half a year. Very rare, but it was just kind of this family consensus that we're gonna have pizza delivered, and that was actually very good. Well, it was very good, but like, it's like a real soggy crust type deal going on. Like I like a crisp crust. So, but other than that, I mean, it kind of hit the spot. But it's one of those things I can do like every 6 months. So yeah, like I said, one of the greatest things we have going in our town, at least I think, is we have the hot deli at Festival Foods. So you just the self serve, you go there, and you get chicken strips or potatoes or a piece of chicken or fish or whatever, and then they weigh it. And usually, like for between 10 and $12, you can get a pretty big container, and you're set. I mean, for me, like that's 2 meals. It could even be 3 meals. And so I'm always like up for that. That's a win. So I do it on Fridays because I do the fish. So kind of fish fry Friday theme going on, but yeah, that's totally part of my routine now. Um, so um, wow, broiling bacon. You're right. It's broiling. Look at you guys. Frozen pizza tomorrow. Payday. I'm gonna Hawaiian. Look at you guys. Hawaiian pizza. Man. Yeah. I can handle pineapple on pizza. It's not what I prefer, but I can go with it. So yeah, look at this. Look at these guys. Look at these guys in here. So yeah, let me so those of you, who don't know, I did a show before this one. It was a premiere, and that one was 7 school safety objectives like every school should use for every exercise. And to me, like, that should just be required. There shouldn't even be an option. It should be a state requirement that you have to do that. And the thing is, like, nobody mandates that. So coming out with it, it's really, and like, it's not going to get a ton of views, and it should. But I wanted it to be very well put together, because when I get asked this, in my classes, or people ask me about consulting and stuff like that, I talk about this. It's too hard to explain it. So I need it to just say, like, go to the video. Like, that's what you got to do, is just go to the video. So, yeah. But, so guys, please, continue to share the content out. We had a run of some terrific guests. I'm going to talk with Traveling Fools, get that couple on, and they're going to talk about interrogations, volcano eruptions, being arrested when you're traveling. Be a good show. And then I don't, I have a couple, guests in queue, and again, I want to figure out how to do things that makes sense, because I don't want to the blog post, I want to shorten those up a little bit, get those a little more concise than where they're at. So let me see over here if I've got the blog post. I don't know where I was at with that yesterday. I think I've got it done. 196 episodes on the blog post. So it's pretty good. What in the world? Let me edit it. Come on. So yeah, I'm with you, Corey. Like, it's very rare we do like a Pizza Hut delivery, like 2-3 times a year. That's it. And okay. So let's see here. Do I have a post ready to go? I do. So, dun, 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 dun. Yeah, this one looks pretty good. So let's get that out there, and then I can work on it tomorrow. So it's published. So that's good. When with the consulting too, it's a good thing to have like some recent stuff published. I found that has been important, because people are like, oh, you've been, plus like a book. I mean, that's really impressive. Like, oh, what'd you do? Well, a book that came out. So, well, that's good. So, Corey's saying, I haven't really had a real conversation with speaking in far too long. Yeah, that's too bad, man. When I was younger, I think I had more conversations. No, I don't think, I know I had more like just quality conversations than I do today with people. Where you just sit down and you're just talking about stuff, right? I mean, because now it's kind of like an exchange, like, like, what do you need to know, or what is this? But I mean, just sitting down and just like talking, like, it's even like at Thanksgiving, like, it really was not a big focus of the Thanksgiving thing. Everyone, they're kind of doing their own thing, and then you get together and touch base on a few things. But like, just, there was Henry Ford and Harvey Firestone and John Burroughs and Thomas Edison back 1920s. They used to get together and go out like on camping trips and stuff, and just like talk, just hang around, be out for like a week. Yeah, and there's value just to being out and shooting it with other, this conversation, which is good. So, Misty Mrs. Wayne, I know it's left field, but we're getting slammed with the wind rate. Oh my God. So it's not good. I'll have to check. It was windy before, and we have the Christmas lights out. It must have tripped the breaker because the lights went out, and it was at the breaker that's on the outlet outside. The GFI got tripped, and it's not raining, so some of the wires must have. So I had to reset it. But it's pretty windy out there. It doesn't happen often, but it's not like super windy. It's not like dangerous windy. So, it's all right. A lot of us throw Doc a hard turn. That's funny. Corey, seems like every year we put our Christmas decor out and it does this. So yeah, we've got things pretty battened down out there. And like I said, I have those 4 metal deer that I got like 20 years ago at Home Depot after Christmas. They're marked down. And each of those deer weigh about 40 pounds. So it's not the stuff you see today. And I had to relight those things many times, lights burn out. But this is heavy gauge, like wire and metal, these things put together. And so they're really sturdy. They stake them down and stuff like that. But that's the thing where I'm like, well, we probably couldn't get these today. And they are a pain. I never enjoy putting those out or kind of taking them down and storing them. They take up a lot of space. But at the same time, I'm like, well, like you just couldn't get these anymore. They don't make stuff like this. And I know we didn't pay a lot for them. I don't even know how we got them home, come to think of it. So, but it's not that they really come apart. So I got to update that at some point. A little more pics. So look at this, you guys. Bacon, your streams go that long for different reasons. Tim Pool beats a topic to death, drags it down the road, then beats it to death some more. So, oh my goodness. Yeah. So Tim Pool's like, oh, we got swatted again. I'm like, oh my God. So I am really happy with this mic, the Shure MV7, by the way. So, oh, by the way, I want to get Eric Tang on the show. You're like, Eric Tang, yeah, he uses a similar mic. He has a Shure MV7. He might have gone up to the 7B now with the XLR. Like his channel's really taken off. But that's the Eric's stopped in here a few times, but doing some of the fiscal stuff, because just the common sense, like fiscal stuff. And yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense. So I've got to look. I got to spend some time on checking out some of the latest content he's put out. But yeah, this mic was a big upgrade. I really like it. It looks good too. And then the headset, and occasionally listen to music, and then my my HyperX headset with the microphone on it, when I consult, it's so much nicer than my Logitech 390. That was like the pandemic headset, for $30, and it worked well, but it would put a lot of pressure in your ears, and it wasn't over the ear. So like at the end of the day, your ears would hurt for an hour from the pressure. They just weren't comfortable. And then, the audio was never great. It was good, but it wasn't great. But now, like the HyperX, it actually looks like a professional headset. So when you're around with people, they're kind of like, oh, what do you got there? Like, it's HyperX. So it's kind of fun too, because like sometimes I'll throw the sign on, just like right now, what it's doing. I'll have that going on. Other times I don't, depends upon the type of meeting. But I think the background, I look at other people's background and I'm like, my background is better than yours. You can tell the people are just kind of like try to do the bookshelf background on the, the blur out the green screen thing. But I'm like, I got a good background going on here. So yeah. Yeah, I'm not, I don't get into Tim Pool's stuff. The shows that I watch, I allegedly with Dan. Allegedly. So that's a show that I watch every day. I like that. He talks about what's happening but he always films it like on a beach. He's walking along like a beach side thing in California where he lives. So it's always nice because it's warm. But I mean, like you have this feeling like when you're watching it, right? Of anyway, it's good information. He does a good job putting it together. And then I watch Eric Tang, more like, money and treasuries and stuff like that. And then Diamond Nest Egg, it's the same theme. They're pretty like to the point, like and stuff. But like I allegedly Dan is really giving you the lay of the land, and maybe Economic Ninja, I would say, is kind of in there too. I like that. Southern Prepper one is pretty good. The only thing, he's a good guy. The only thing is, he talks about not Southern Prepper one. Boots on the ground, what people tell him is going on. Like I went to Costco and this was out and stuff like that. But I don't know how much that really gets authenticated. And then like, but all of his shows are 20 minutes. So Southern Prepper one. And then this is the funny one here. Remember Jeremiah Babe? You guys ever check that out? California. Like there's two themes with this, or there's three themes with this show. The economy is bad, buy gold, and he's going to move out of California. Like that's every show. And I'm just like, dude, like at some point you can't run this for 2 years and not move out of California, right? You can't be, we were, in North Carolina, we're in Tennessee looking at property as a family. So like, well, dude, like at some point, right? You can't run. I mean, like Dan never says for my allegedly, like he's leaving California. He doesn't do that, but like that's the Jeremiah shtick is like, it's all. I also like Scotty Kilmore, just with the Scotty energy. I think it's funny stuff. So that's kind of my like constellation of shows that I might like tune into on a daily basis. Bacon on Friday night, you can always count on that here, 10 o'clock in my time here in Central. But yeah, otherwise these like really produced shows, kind of like Tim Pool, and that I don't know, it just doesn't. Yeah, there's a lot of parodies out there, Jim, too. Like there's some really good parodies of the Scotty Kilmore show, which are hilarious. Oh my God. Yeah. There's one where this guy like edits everything he's saying, and there's Scotty with a battery, and he's like, and connect the terminal to the negative, and then to the negative, and then to the negative. It's just is so funny. And then also like change your, and then it's like motor every 1,000 miles. I mean, this guy took all this time to cut this video together, and but there are a number of people who just will also kind of do the spoof thing. I think Chris Fix did that, and it was so spot on of like a break job of oh my God, it was. But anyway, yeah, Scotty Kilmore channel. So before you end the stream, I gotta say thanks for the opportunity to talk sort of with you all. Oh yeah, well, Corey, sure, appreciate that. Appreciate you, Corey. So yeah, you have very valuable points that you bring up. So I'm just glad you're here and glad you are regular, right, of the show and of the community. So thank you. So yeah, and as Corey has kind of indicated, I think it probably is time to wrap up the show. But the Meeseeks are in first place at 9-3. The Meeseeks right here. I don't know if I've ever had a start. We used to do this thing in fantasy football where the best record won, and then suddenly it became the playoffs. like after 2013 or whatever, then both leagues went to playoffs. And I kind of liked it better when it was just like the best record one, but because right now I would win like at 9-3, I got a game lead and I got a point lead, so I'd have to lose probably all three of the final games to not win the league if it was just the points. Um, but yeah, so I don't know if I've ever had like a 9-3 record like through 12 games. This is probably my best run. And to have this like really big points lead, it doesn't really mean anything in the playoffs. You can still end up getting knocked out, but it's been fun because it's guaranteed winning season, guaranteed playoffs, and fantasy football, right? But yeah, so it's this could be the year of a back-to-back Meeseeks title, a Mr. Meeseeks. So guys, have you watched Rick and Morty here? So Mr. Meeseeks. Yeah. I'm Mr. Meeseeks. All right. Trying to our local there's been a couple book activities, like one at the library and another like in our town they did like a book study. And then I'm like, I'm an author in your town. You can also get my book. As kind of baffles me a little bit. But so I'm Mr. Meeseeks. Come on, Corey. You see Mr. Meeseeks on Rick and Morty? Bolo. Seems like a lot of extra steps. So yeah. Ooh, another dead mouse. Whoa. Wow. Yeah. That's crazy stuff. So, whoa, Rick and Morty. So, yeah. Rick and Morty. So it's kind of like it's somewhat similar to Back to the Future, but it's like this Adult Swim comedy thing with this grandpa and his grandkids. Grandpa's Rick, grandkids Morty, and they travel through universe dimensions. It's kind of like quasi R-rated stuff for like the language, but there's an episode on there called Mr. Meeseeks. So if you're wondering what a Mr. Meeseeks is, by the way, so like this is a Mr. Meeseeks. Let me show you right here. And this was also this was bacon on Halloween this year. So let's show. What in the world? Why won't you let me share a screen? Okay, this was bacon on Halloween. He was Mr. Meeseeks. There he is. So paid $40 for that. There he is. I'm Mr. Meeseeks. Look at me. Yeah, I don't know. Like Rick and Morty, like a couple episodes, Mr. Nimbus, and a couple of those kind of I thought were good. I never watched like every episode, but there were a couple times. I thought the Meeseeks episode was really good. There's Mr. Meeseeks. So I wonder if he dressed up as Halloween, like how many people would really get that? We didn't have one Meeseeks. We didn't have one Rick or Morty. So yeah, I don't know. I don't own it. It's not me. But Mr. Meeseeks. So I dress the same way every year. So how did you know? So, oh my goodness. Yeah. I'll tell you one thing. If you go on eBay, I don't know if you could do this today. But I checked at one point. I was going to buy because the fire code I have is just this older version, more like it's not really wildland firefighting, but it was made for like it's more the summer version. But if you were to go on eBay, I think the ship. I don't know if it would be like. Let me try this. Turnout coat firefighting Holy Lord. Oh, okay. So this isn't bad. Let's bring this up. So that's Globe is a good brand of firefighting gear. That's maybe 20 years old. Um, so this is $64. If you want a coat to like go out in the woods, right? If you're doing stuff in the woods or like you know, winter coat, right? Or something if it gets rained on, you're gonna be fine. You don't care what happens to it. Like a firefighter turnout now, like, all of this stuff like would be a little, I'm not sure I'd be using a chainsaw with all the metal stuff on the front. Like that's not exactly probably the use for it, but um I a turnout coat is extremely rugged. So right, if you're doing kind of any like cold weather woods type stuff, this thing will last forever. Um, and they're made, the turnout coat doesn't really get really hot. Um, I mean, in summer, kind of, yeah, but the way, because it's not meant to overheat firefighters. But a turnout coat is super rugged. And again, like I seriously considered buying a winter turnout coat, a used one, um, and then just use it when I was like walking at night because it's reflective. That's a plus. And, you know, it would keep the wind out and then nothing, I wouldn't have to worry about it. Um, but then, you know, I never did it because I thought, well, then everyone's going to think of firefighters walking around. Like that'd be a little weird. Because you just don't see people kind of doing this. So, like in a city context, it doesn't make a lot of sense. But I'm telling you, like, what size is this? Oh, you can make an offer. Interesting trades. Well, how much is it? Oh, here, yeah, it's 64. I bet you could get that for 75 total, including shipping. Something new like this, that's like $500. That's what the fire department paid for it. What the hell? What am I trying to? What size is it? Has a smoky smell. 44 by 35. Actually, that's my size. So that's my size turnout. 44-35. Huh. Interesting. Is this fate? I don't need this. But since we're here. 91. Oh, I thought that was newer than that. So this does up here is kind of that's where the your searchlight would go, and that's kind of a newer thing that they do with jackets. So yeah, 30 years old. I didn't, kind of surprises me, but it looks like it's in good shape. Quilt, yep. Says this is it's a summer coat. This isn't that different than the one that I have. I don't have the extra stripe. Mine's a little bit older than this. This coat's pretty darn nice. Captain. Now. Huh. Yeah, I'm the captain. Whoa. Instant respect walking around with this. Piqued my interest. Honestly, like if I was on a farm or something, I don't know why farmers don't do this. Like why they don't buy stuff like that. Because like you get a Carhartt jacket, this coat will last you forever. I mean, this will never wear out. So I don't know. It's kind of caught my attention. So wow. It's nice. You'd always be pulled over though. People always be asking, what's the deal? So yeah, oh Lord. So oh, it says Lord. Oh my God. Military surplus. Yeah, where I worked, School for the Blind, they had a military surplus store in town. They'd been there for a long time, and that's where I actually got a coat from there. But so I like when you could try stuff on, right? Because then you completely can make a judgment if it fit or not. If you're just kind of buying over online clothing, that's a big if. So yeah, ugly Christmas sweaters. I don't even own a sweater. I have a real limited kind of winter clothing options. Like I actually need to get a heavy black fleece, zipper fleece. And look at that. Because if I don't, down here, the consulting gets really cold and I have a fleece, but it's not like very thick. And I have to try something on. So I've got to go to like an RE. We have an REI like 40 miles from us, so I can try some stuff on. But that's Commander. Yeah. So that is a nice turnout jacket. So usually what happens is the liner goes bad on that. And this liner is in good shape. So because it would all just kind of unravel and stuff like that. It's usually they just have life expectancy, you know. But you can kind of tell like this hasn't been washed a lot either. They just kind of wipe them down. So anyway, this thing's in really good shape. Yeah, that's leather. That's riveted over leather right there. So I don't know. I like it. I don't know if I have any use for it. Add to cart, right? Make an offer. I'll give you $1 for it. You got to pay shipping. But yeah. So if I was like, you know, if you're like ice fishing, right? Like if you're doing that, that would be a good jacket to have because you're very visible when you're out on the ice and there's people out there, snowmobiles and other stuff, things like that. Like, and this will be extremely durable. It's not going to snag if you get a hook bite or something like that. And it knocks down the wind. So if you just like wear a little bit underneath it, you'd be great. Like, honestly, people don't realize this is one of the best bargains. You know, having my own turnout coat for years. A good turnout coat like this from authentic firefighting turnout coat is a super bargain. If it's in good or great shape, like it's $75 or less, that is a coat that will last you till the day you die. And you know, if you're doing heavy, or you know, I wear this to a store, right? But if it's a work coat, this thing will, I mean, be unbelievable. So, and they're actually pretty easy to move around in, and they're not like crazy gusseted. And, you know, this is a really well made jacket. So, and you could clean that up a little bit if you wanted to. But like if I was ice fishing, yeah, like this would make a lot of sense, right? All these people buy this expensive, super hyper expensive gear and logoed and stuff, and like this is what would make sense. So I had yeah, smell smoke equals fireproof. Yeah, I had so replace my current one, Corey. Yeah, so I had the one time I wore my turnout coat, well, other than Halloween, right? Was I had a friend who moved to Arizona, and she was moving and she had a storage unit, this huge storage unit, all stuff. And she said, "Would you help me move?" And it was her brother and like a friend, and they had this big moving truck, and but it was pretty steady and heavy rain, and it was maybe like 60 degrees. And I was like, I don't know what to wear for that because it's moving. So like you're carrying furniture and stuff. And I don't want to wear like a nice jacket, you know, because that gets snagged up or whatever. I just don't want to do that. So I thought, oh, just bring the turnout coat. It was perfect because water just went off of it, and you know, moving furniture and stuff didn't matter because nothing's going to get snagged up. And And it was, boom, it was absolutely the perfect choice. So, but yeah, Jim, leather moccasins. So yeah, I was at a moccasin store a couple of years ago, and I was almost willing to commit to moccasins. They made them at the store. They measure your foot and stuff, and told you like how they're made. But I was like, after I thought about them, like I really can't see a real scenario where I'm wearing moccasins. So I didn't go with it. So, which is probably good because I just probably wouldn't have worn them. So, yeah. So that was the cat. Got my phone screen. So, whoa. All right. Cool. Well, everybody, I'm gonna get on out of here. So have a good rest of November, and we'll see where things go here. But we made it through November here without any big snowstorms and no snow on the ground. So I feel like we're ahead of the game. Like we've knocked it off. Can you undo that, Doc? Undo what? What is going on here? Can I undo? What do you? Sorry, Corey. Oh man, what am I supposed to undo? I don't know. I don't see anything to undo. What do I have to undo? Jim. That was the cat. Got my phone screen. All right. Seriously, I'm partial to blame for sure. What are you guys talking about? You guys are, this is all great. So all right. I don't know. So you guys are cool. Yeah, I could add a hood to that. So all right. I don't know. All right, I'll take us out, and then yeah, I got notes, got some meetings tomorrow, so see where things go here with the North Star. You timed out Corey for 300 seconds. Oh, which deleted all Corey's. Oh, I can't. Oh, okay. Can I? No, I can only put Corey in timeout from here. So, okay. All right. Yeah. Well, I see Corey in my chat. Let me see just a second here. Let me go over to the outside of the platform. Oh. I can view it. Does that bring back his messages? I don't know, guys. Are you able to go back and to see it? I can see it, but I can't undo the timeout. I can say view. That's really weird that it deletes it. It shouldn't do that, right? I see what it did. Like that doesn't make any sense that it did that. If you put somebody in timeout, then so that's weird. Huh. Okay. Well, it's something to learn. I didn't know that happened. So all right. Well, guys, I'm going to take us out the Ron Wayne style here. So all right. Here's Ron Wayne when he sees a ghost.
Holy shit, a ghost.
Ooh.
Do you mind moving out of the way? You're blocking the TV.
Oh, shit. Sorry, man.
It's okay. Thank you.
As chaos erupts, torrents of conflicting yet urgent messages gush from media outlets. What is the magnitude of the incident, and what should people do to protect themselves? Dr. David P. Perodin teaches you how to prevent mental burnout by observing indicators and building a robust member check network. Reporter James David Dixon of the Detroit News proclaims, the velocity of information will empower its readers. Drawing on current events, history, interviews, and scholarship, the velocity of information is an education in the way people react and adapt to change in this fast-spinning world. Never has it been more important to sift facts and stories for truth and meaning. There are teachable moments on every page. Buy The Velocity of Information, Human Thinking During Chaotic Times. Available from your favorite bookstore or online retailer.
How were the beans and chili that you had for breakfast?
They were delicious. Thank you for asking. But now I am very gassy.
I'm sorry to hear that. Who let the frogs out? Pew, that stinks very bad. I have to open the window. Oh no, my cap flew off and it was sucked into the engine.
Holy smokes, the engine just cut out. We should use the Decide model to help us make the right decision.
Mayday, Mayday. I am declaring a beans and chili emergency. Please advise for landing.
Flight 019er, 2 miles northeast, turn left at 90, maintain 4,800 to establish an approach.